Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here with Tom Moffat. And today we are going to walk through 3 strategies that are helping get us booked leads off social media. So, Tom, I'm going to let you kick it off because social media is your baby.
Yeah, let's do it. So I thought this would be timely because I've been doing, as you listener knows, I've been deep on social media for the past, call it, 2 months. And I've seen some results. I don't want to say finally, because it's only been 2 months, but it's really cool to see some book calls come in from like direct posts, which my whole intention with social media was really just to get that brand awareness and help with current clients going through the pipeline and also establishing relationships with referral partners. So like the direct leads from social was like always kind of a cherry on top. But now it's like, hey, I'm starting to see it come in. Maybe I pour a bit more gas on the fire and focus some more time on getting more content out there and just refining every single video that I push out there. So to give you some context of some of like the stats of the last couple of videos I posted, I'll just use TikTok stats for now. The last 3 videos, 98,000 views, 21,000 and 25,000. So those were the last 3 cash damming videos that I've done specific to cash damming. And other videos I've been in the range of like minimum 1,000 to average like around 5,000. And those are more of like the broader financial literacy videos. So still getting some good traction with those, but the direct leads are coming from the advanced mortgage strategies, which is cool because that's what we're diving into lately. And I'm finding people are really starving for that content. If you asked me maybe at the start of my social journey 2 months ago, I would have told you that it would be the opposite. People would want more of the financial literacy versus the specific mortgage content. But I think like with the advanced strategies, you're really hitting the pain points of like people paying more, like a shit ton of tax and people paying interest on their mortgage. If you can provide a solution to those 2 things, that's what people want.
Yeah, I also think there's an element too, like when it comes to broad knowledge, it's relevant and you take it in, but it's kind of like you have no reason to correspond with that person because like I'm going to take this data, I'm going to literally just apply it to my life, or I'm going to go watch something else and move on. Whereas with the cash jamming piece specifically, it's like, okay, this is cool. I need to get further information on this, but the further information is via booking a call with the content creator.
Yeah, I knew the direct leads would come specific from those videos, but I thought the views would be higher with the financial literacy. Either way, I'm happy with the views being higher on the videos that we want leads from because like at the end of the day, like that is the reason why you're doing social. Maybe not the only reason, but one of the biggest reasons is to grow your business, and you grow your business by getting leads. And that's what I'm finding so far. And it's really cool to see almost every single video I'm posting now is getting direct followers from people that are non-followers and they're actually following me from the reels. So it's actually really cool to see that. I hadn't experienced that up until then. Like I was just following people and doing that follow strategy and just unfollowing people that weren't following me back. So it's kind of cool to see the outside world following me for the content I'm putting out there. And so now the next steps for me is I want to start refining each video to get more of that traction, but also to lead people into my funnel, which we can dive into as well. But I think like the main premise of today, we can chat about like the 3 strategies that I've been working on in order for me to get that traction with social.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think for so long, myself in particular, I just use social as like a business card. If someone's going to look at my name, they'll see that occasionally I post a thing or 2. I'm not exactly looking to it for my lead gen, but then I can see on yours, you're doing a lot more stuff that's lead gen driven. And then you can see the iterations you're making week after week where it's getting better and better. And then I can see the calendar side filling up with booked appointments. So I know there was like 5 book calls in this last week alone, all from 1 social video or 1 to 3 social videos. So it's really cool to see that that's actually converting into those book calls. So why don't we give the listener the first sort of thing you've changed in this process?
Yeah. So like you said, it was 5 book calls. I believe it was just from the 2 videos that I posted. Yeah. I think like the main reason. So point number 1, I was giving people the content that they want. So I've been speaking a lot about this for a while, but a lot of mortgage brokers, the issue they have with their social is they're talking about stuff that people just don't fucking care about. Like, I've been harping on this for so long. I feel like a broken record, but like nobody cares about prepayment privileges, penalties, amortization, like the features of a mortgage, nobody cares about. They want the result. They want the thing that's going to solve their pain point. And when you can hit on that, that's when you're going to start seeing the results. So give people what they want. In my situation, it's financial literacy. So like growing your net worth and also paying less interest and income tax. Almost all Canadians would like those three things.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of like sell the outcome, not the journey. Like people want to order the sausage and eat the sausage. They don't want to know how all the meat's ground up. And a lot of the time we spend this like time zoom in focus on how the meat's ground up when really we should just create a better experience with the sausage at the end.
Yeah, and you can still go granular with some of this stuff. Like if you're doing the advanced strategies, like you can go deep on cash down, you can go deep on the debt swap strategy, man one product. As long as you're still making it about them and what the result is going to be for them, it's going to do well. And the other type of content, like the mortgage features and all that stuff, you can save that for current clients going through your pipeline because they're the people that are going to want to know that because they're currently getting a mortgage. So just save it for that and then do more of that type of content I'm talking about here for the social media.
Yeah, you could even bundle some of that stuff up and have like a YouTube mini series on like features of a mortgage, something like that. So when a client asks a question, you then just point them to that content versus like trying to get that to pop off on Instagram or TikTok where it's probably not going to get as much reach.
Yeah, exactly. Some videos do pop off that I'm like surprised with. There's a couple brokers that did a video on like fixed versus variable. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that one popped off for 100K views. And I think maybe that was just timely with what people are thinking about right now with their renewal and all that. So it's not to say that some of those types of videos won't work. It's just, it's going to be far and few between. And of course, like newsworthy content is always going to perform well. Like Bank of Canada stuff, tariffs have been crushing. I personally don't do them. It's just not my jam, but it does work. Like from an eyeball perspective, I just don't think from a direct lead perspective, you're not going to get many of them posting that type of content versus the content that I'm talking about here.
You kind of touched on a good point there with the tariff piece. Like it's not your jam. And for some people listening, they might say, okay, well, this sort of content that pops off isn't really my jam either. You don't have to always do things for them to pop off. You can just create the content you want, and you will eventually, if you do enough of it, find sort of your tribe there. There's all different types of people online. What Tom's doing is just really gearing it towards what does the mass audience want, what's particularly relevant to them right now, and what will give us leads today. If you look at social sort of through my lens of what I do, I'm not trying to go viral with any of my videos. I'm just creating the occasional video so something's refreshed there and it doesn't look like I stopped doing mortgages a year ago. You can do that too and still get a bunch of leads doing other strategies. But for those of you who want to make social a key strategy, you should think about implementing some of this focused niche down kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if you look at it from your lens, like if you establish 1 to 2 solid referral partners a year, just from like the content you want to post, and maybe it's like 70% of it is personal stuff, that like hobbies that you enjoy, and you connect on that level with that referral partner, then it's worth it, right? Like it's just 2 different ways to go about social. There's no right and wrong way. If you are looking for direct to consumer leads, then you do have to do it this way. But if you're looking for that other approach, like by all means, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Love that analogy. I made that more than one way to skin a cat comment one time with a mother and daughter on a discovery call as a video call. And then they just like held up their cat and they were all offended.
What?
I kind of like froze and I like didn't know what to do. So I just went like, meow. Needless to say, I didn't get their business. Anyways, I digress. So your content also is getting a lot more watchable. I know you always send me things to watch and sometimes I do. And part of that is you're becoming a better hooker. So why don't you talk about how you're focusing on the hook more?
Yeah, I love being a better hooker. That's what it's all about, baby. Get those hooks in, get them dialed in. I focus most of my time when I'm scripting my videos. I don't actually script the video. I just focus on the main hook. Like say it's 3 main points that I want to touch on. I'll just put the points in there and then I'll talk off the cuff. So I'm not fully scripting my video. You can, like I've got a teleprompter to do that and I've tried it in the past. It does flow, like it's okay to do, but it just took longer for me to do that, to actually script out a full video. Like if you're trying to bang out 3 to 5 videos a week, like most of your time is going to be spent scripting, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather spend most of my time video sourcing. So finding content that will perform well, and hooks that are going to attract that person to watch the video. So when it comes to the hook, there's three main criterias. You've got the visual hook, you've got the written hook, and you've got the on-screen hook. So the visual hook is how it sounds. It's when they're looking at the video, what's attracting them visually. So it can be something as simple as like you sitting down in your office, having a cup of coffee in your hand, like something casual that's like maybe you're placing on the desk, or maybe you're adjusting the camera before you start recording, or while you start recording, you're adjusting it. Once you like see it, when creators are doing it, like you can't unsee it. It's funny. Like they start the video and like the camera's kind of shaking and they're setting it up, and it's just like something stupid, but it's a visual thing that breaks the pattern of like the typical sit down at your desk and spit off like 3 tips. Like that stuff's been done over and over. And so being creative with that visual aspect helps retain the viewer. And interrupt me if I'm going off on a tangent, but that's visual. The second piece is written hook. You want that one to be 6 to 8 words tops. The 6 words is like the magic number for that on-screen hook. And you want it to, of course, like tell the viewer what the video is going to be about without giving them the answer. And you want to build some curiosity, either fear, excitement, or that curiosity piece. And that's what's going to attract them to stay on the video. So we've got the visual, we've got the on-screen text, and we also have the verbal. So verbal is what you're saying. So you can repeat what the on-screen text hook is, or you can say something different. I usually, for the verbal, I have it more of like starting like a casual conversation. I like more of like the casual start versus like, here's 3 tips on how to save more money. You know what I mean? Like it's just a bit more formal doing it that way. And I don't like doing it that way. So those are your main 3 things. Focusing on those 3 will greatly improve your watch time and how many views you get.
Yeah, I think one of your best ones is like you lying on a couch and it looks like you just woke up from a nap. That was one of the top performing ones. And it's like all indications would say like, oh, you should look more professional and like do all this stuff. But I was like, no, it's not true. Like I know one of them, you're like holding a plant or some shit like that. That just draws people in. So
yeah, the plant one didn't work. But I thought the plant would work a little better because like I'm like holding the plant, I'm like placing it down as I'm talking, but it didn't do too well. But you got to play around with the different visual stuff, and I don't really like make them too professional. That's just not my vibe, and I think you have to align it with the kind of person you are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can do a whole video on hooks, but I'll just leave it at when it comes to dialing in your hooks, you might feel lost of like, okay, like where do I start? Do I start with the visual, the written, or the verbal? My process is what I'll do is I'll source the content first. So I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll type in like, say my topic today is going to be on how to save more on tax. Then I'll tell ChatGPT, hey, give me 5 viral hooks around this topic. It'll do that. And I have my custom GPT set up where it's actually giving me some solid hooks, and it will give me all 3 elements of that hook. So it's going to give me the on-screen text, it's going to give me the verbal, and it's going to give me the visual. And then from there, what I'll do is I'll take a portion of the hook and then I'll put it into TikTok. I'll search like what the top performing videos are. And then from there, I'll pick those videos, I'll dissect it, and I'll use elements of their hooks and build my own.
Nice. I like that. So you're kind of like going broad net, you're refining, you're copying, you're splicing, and you're editing it.
Yeah.
And then going from there. Yeah, that's cool. It's a good way to do it because you're not always like forced to like have blank sheet coming up with all this stuff from the start. Like just borrow what's out there and what's working. And the cool thing about this is like we all know content, the cycle is so quick now. So you can experiment with a lot of different stuff. You can put a bunch out there and see if it works for you and your audience. And if it doesn't, just move on. Like you don't need to beat yourself up about a video not performing because literally it's pushed down so quickly that you just go on to the next one and get started that way.
Dude, especially TikTok. Like I look at TikTok like your playground where you can experiment, because I don't know like the actual stat if I were to look back at most of my videos, but I believe it's like somewhere around 98 or 99% of the views of my TikTok videos are non-followers. So like my own followers aren't even seeing my content on TikTok. Like it's such a weird algorithm. So it's a great place to just test your content because it maybe goes viral, but it gets the views for 1 to 2 days and then it kind of dies off. This is for another video, but I'm testing like different formats of how I'm presenting the content. So I'm doing more of like diagrams and written like pictures and stuff like that, where I'm going through the flow versus like just talking head. And that's where I'll test it. I'll test it on TikTok first. And if it's performing okay, then I'll repurpose it to Instagram.
Once you have that hook and you kind of have your broader content, a lot about what you're talking about is different now too. And we did touch on this, that you do the broader financial strategies, but where you're getting leads is the advanced strategies. So let's kind of dive in there. I know over the past couple of weeks, we've kind of like ebbed and flowed. And we're like, maybe we're doing cash jamming, maybe we're not. We were very much not bought into it. I think the tune we're singing has changed now. I think we can say that. We're fully invested now, seeing the leads that come in and just the speed that we can get these leads. It really is just a different business completely.
Yeah, all 5 of those calls were cash damming calls. So the way I look at it is we're not pigeonholing ourselves to just doing cash damming. And we've freed up so much of our time that you and I can do the discovery calls for cash damming. That was the ultimate reason why we proceeded with cash damming, because like it's going to be a great entry to gather like straight mortgage leads, like refi leads, pass it over to our underwriter who's going to work on those. And then we just focus on the cash damming implementation. So that was kind of our final like check mark to proceed with cash damming. And so that is like number 3, like the third point here is like pivoting to advanced mortgage strategies has really helped me define like the type of content I'm putting out there and growing the social. And it really comes back to, what do people want? Well, the advanced mortgage strategies is exactly what people want and need right now. So it's a no-brainer to have that in my arsenal for content. And even if you're listening, you're like, I don't even want to do any of that content. Maybe you set up some sort of partnership with another broker where you have these leads come in and you can just pass it off to another broker who actually does them, take a percentage of that cut. The benefit is you're still getting paid somewhat, and you're also growing your brand presence and creating these connections with referral partners that also are starving for this content.
Yeah, and I think a key thing to just remember here is people do not want advanced mortgage strategies. People want the feeling of paying less taxes. They want to retire richer. They want to pay off their mortgage faster. So that's what you're talking about. You don't have to go into the weeds of explaining advanced mortgage strategies through social content. So just make sure to reframe that, because I know there's going to be a bunch of people who are like, let's talk this cash jam, like, and go very granular on it. And then the people are like, holy fuck, like I'm so confused.
I don't even say cash damming in my videos. I don't even use the word because nobody knows what that is.
It sounds evil. Damn cash.
You're damning it.
Yeah. So just frame the outcome when you're delivering this.
Yeah, good point. They don't know they need it, but they need it, but they don't want it.
You can come to Tom and my church. We're starting as well. You don't know you need it, but you need it. Just wanted to say thank you to those of you who have sent us messages on Instagram and LinkedIn over the past couple of weeks. Really appreciate getting the positive feedback. If you're a listener and you haven't left a review for the show, please do so. It'd be tremendously helpful. And we hope you have an awesome day. Cheers.